أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين. In today's dars, I felt as though yesterday's presentation about the life of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, although had a number of elements included in it, but there's so much of his life and his mission and the proofs about his coming that still need to be covered. So I felt it would be good to present some more of those proofs today in this dars so that we can get a more filling sense of the coming of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. I have an Apple device, so give me a second as I'm navigating this. There we go. The verse I just recited before you is from Surah As-Saf, chapter 61, verse 7. The translation of which, and you can read it with me. وَإِذْ قَالَ, and when Qala Isa ibn Maryama, Jesus, son of Mary, said, Ya Bani Israel, O children of Israel, Inni Rasulullahi ilaykum musaddiqan lima bayna yadayya min at-Tawrati, that I am a messenger unto you, fulfilling that which was before me of the Torah, wa mubashiran, and giving glad tidings, bi rasulin, of a messenger, yati, who will come, min ba'di, after me, whose name ismuhu Ahmad. His name will be Ahmad. Forgot there's a word for word translation, or I can do it this way as well. Oh, it doesn't work that way. Falamma, and when ja'akum, he came to them, bil bayyinati qalu hadha sihrun mubin. When he came to them with clear proofs, they said, this is clear enchantment. What is necessary to understand here is that Isa alayhi salam is predicting the coming of Ahmad. And Musa alayhi salam is predicting the coming of a Masile Musa, another Moses that will come. What we understand this is that one of the names of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Ahmad. But in this one word, Ahmad, there's many prophecies that are intertwined. One is that the coming after him, after Isa alayhi salam's name will be Ahmad, which is of course also Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But also, since Isa alayhi salam is making this prophecy, he is also prophesizing his second advent as well. And this is why the promised Messiah alayhi salam's name is Ghulam Ahmad. He is both the servant of the Ahmad alayhi salam, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but also he is Ahmad of himself. And so by this single word, Ahmad, and him being named Ghulam Ahmad, points to the fact that a prophet was prophesied by Isa alayhi salam to come on one end, and on the other end, he was going to be a servant of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was going to be a Zilli Nabi. He was going to be a subordinate prophet. He would not be independent. He will be coming under the Sharia of Islam in this single word, Ahmad. Now, what's beautiful about this, and this is where it further gets strengthened, because this is where Isa alayhi salam is talking about the coming of a prophet. Let's read the next verse. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنِ افْتَرَى عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبَ وَهُوَ يُدْعَى إِلَى الْإِسْلَامِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. But who could do greater wrong? وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ. Who is the greater wrong? مِمَّنِ افْتَرَى. Against he who forges a lie, عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبَ, a lie against Allah, while he is called to Islam. Was the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam called to Islam, or was he the one calling? So in this second verse, it talks about, again, reiterating that a time will come when Ahmad alayhi salam will come on this earth, Ghulam Ahmad, the subordinate of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the second dispensation of the era of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There will be a time when all of the people will gather together and yud'a ila al-Islam. They will invite him to Islam. Today, what is the biggest claim they have against us? They say we are non-Muslim. And when you go to a Sunni or a Shia, they will say what? Come to Islam. They are fulfilling these words of Allah Almighty. But the reality is that the promised Messiah Islam and his master, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are where the true Islam exists. But this was going to be foretold. And this surah comes before Surah Jummah. Now what's unique about Surah Jummah is Jummah itself is the 5th day in the week. And the 5th day means 5,000 years. Meaning it is prophesizing the coming of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because Adam alayhi salam came on the first day. He came 5,000 years ago. Then the second day, then the third, then the fourth, and the fifth. And so when the promised Messiah alayhi salam came, he said that now it seems as though there is only one day left. 1,000 years remain of this cycle, so to speak, the cycle of 7,000 years. And this is why that when the promised Messiah alayhi salam said that 300 years would not pass, that all of the world will embrace Ahmadiyyat, those glory days will have appeared. This is because he says if it took Christianity 300 years, this is true Islam. This is the true Masihiyyat after the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How could we be slower than a false Masihiyyat? It's impossible. So we will definitely succeed before the 300 years are up. Inshallah. Now I share this, again, this is just one proof of one surah or two surahs that talk about the coming of the promised Messiah Islam. But I don't want us to take away from the fact that there are signs in the Bible as well. And one of those signs is very unique, in which it also talks about the time in which the promised Messiah Islam will appear. And mostly it is found in the book of Daniel. You see, in the book of Daniel, you'll find a lot of numbers. Quite often, numbers are shared. And those numbers are very powerful in their subtleness of indicating something that is to come. Let me give you an example. Here's one example. Daniel, it says, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. This, of course, is speaking about the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he speaks about another era. In the same book, he says, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. So in the Bible, 70 days, of course, as you know, 70 weeks, as you know, equals 490 days. And according to the Bible, one day is 1 year. And what this incident is talking about the holy city. It's talking about Jerusalem. And more specifically, it's talking about an incident that is going to take place in Jerusalem, which was the rebuilding of Jerusalem. Now, the rebuilding of Jerusalem took place 457 BC. Okay? From that point, if you add 490 years, you come to 33 AD. What happened on 33 AD? Anybody know? Crucifixion, very good. This was a prophecy of the time when Jesus would be put on the cross. Because as he was being put on the cross, what did he say? He said, God will destroy this temple and will rebuild it. He pointed to this prophecy. That you put me here, don't worry. God says 70 weeks are determined upon thy people to finish the transgression. You do what you want with me, but God will destroy this city and will rebuild it. But it doesn't end here. Here's where it gets very interesting. Because Daniel also prophesied of something else. Well, I don't like iPhones. I mean, iPads. There we go. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? What is it saying? There's a lot of technical words here. He's saying, how long are we going to suffer? When will that glory days begin? How long is the transgression in the holy city and this problem and that problem going to continue? What is the answer to us? He says, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. So again, let's start from the original standpoint he gave of the rebuilding of Jerusalem, 457 BC. If you add 2,300 years, you come to the year, anybody want to take a guess? 1843. Again, exactly at the time when the promised Messiah ﷺ was on this earth and made his claim. Just as Jesus ﷺ was on this earth and made his claim, so too was the claim made by the promised Messiah ﷺ. And this is why not one, but dozens, if not dozens of Christians were expecting that Jesus would appear in those years. This is why Joseph Smith claimed to be a prophet in 1845. This is why John Alexander Dowie claimed to be a prophet in 1850. And the list goes on and on and on. There were so many people in America, especially, who made the claim that I am Jesus, or that Jesus is about to appear. Jesus is about to come. They had newspaper clippings. They were ready. He's about to descend. Why? Because the Bible spoke about the coming of Isa alayhi salam. And what's amazing is, at that same time, the promised Messiah alayhi salam also spoke. And he said to them, and you can read article upon article. There's a recent book that was published by Anwar Mahmood Khan Sahib, and it's such an amazing compilation of the newspaper clippings where the promised Messiah alayhi salam says very powerfully that, "O self-styled prophet, come to a duel, you and I, and the weapons will be prayer. That we should pray, whichever one is false should die first." And if you read the transcript in which the promised Messiah wrote it, it's so powerful. I had a copy of one as well. Let me see if I can pull it out really quickly. I do want everybody to see it because it is very powerful. One second. I'll read it to you since I'm not able to open it now. He says, it's a bit blurry on this one. He says, divine judgment in Dawi's death is inevitable, or the fulfillment of a grand prophecy. He goes on to say, pray to God that of us two, whoever is the liar may perish first. The newspaper says the Qadian man predicted that if Dawi accepted the challenge, quote, he shall leave the world before my eyes with great sorrow and torment. Dawi declined. The Mirza said the end would only be deferred. Death awaited him just the same, and quote, calamity will soon overtake Zion. These are times when the Promised Messiah Islam spoke about this. The city, the man, the person behind this was so powerful. It was so unheard of that Dawi would ever go down in any which way. This is why, by the grace and mercy of Allah, Allah has shown us one sign after the other, after the other, after the other. And we'll continue to see these signs. Another example of this is found So another sign I wanted to share with everybody was the sign of a meteor shower. As this was also a very important sign based on what Jesus alayhi salam had mentioned, or that of coming of a comet. So Revelation 2:28 is a reference. So one is, he says, and I will give him the morning star. Another one was 9:1. Which he says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now here we find that the promised Messiah Islam also spoke about this. In another place, Matthew, Jesus also talks about. He says, saying, where is he that born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. So even in the beginning, when the wise men came looking for Jesus, they had seen his signs in the east. And the same is true again in his second coming, that Allah Almighty would show a sign in the east. So what happens at the time of the promised Messiah alayhi salam? On March 7th, 1907, promised Messiah alayhi salam had a revelation. And the words were very simple. 25 days or till 25 days. That's all he heard from Allah. 25 days or till 25 days. And he announced it, published it. Meaning some event will happen in 25 days. Something unique will happen. Or it'll happen before the end of these 25 days. On March 31st, 1907, a huge fiery flame appeared in the sky, and then with a frightening flash was observed over a distance of more than 700 miles to be falling upon the earth. Thousands of people watched this phenomenon, and some of them fell down senseless by its impact. Those who observed it have described it as a fiery ball upon the earth, and then it arose towards the sky in the form of smoke. It was an experience of seeing a comet, a falling star of some sort, in the sky exactly 25 days at the time of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Another sign that we often don't include with the eclipse, but it is as powerful, if not unique, as any other sign. Now, throughout the time of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, we find that there are prophecies upon prophecies. And one of them, as I was reading yesterday, is the entire chapter of Matthew. And I was mentioning this as if you read this with me, you will see that it's as though the entire chapter speaks about the coming of the promised Messiah alayhi salam verbatim. So I want us to just briefly read it. It's not very long. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? There shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. See, this is when he's referring to the prophecy of Daniel. That this temple you speak of, it'll be destroyed. God has predicted it in Daniel. Not one stone will remain intact. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came into him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So it's the Sahaba, the disciples, who asked him, tell us, what will those signs look like of the end times? Jesus said, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Why would they come in his name? Because that is the expectation. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and that ye shall not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Just because it feels like you're in World War II and this is the end, 80 million people died, is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine, pestilence, earthquake in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. So as much as we've advanced technologically, have we not seen the beginning of sorrows? Are we ever in a global village? Yet anxiety, depression, sleep aids, everything is increasing. He says, then shall they deliver you up to afflicting, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Are we not seeing that around us every day? Betrayal, hate, all fighting one another for money, for this and that. He says, and many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. As long as you are enduring till the end, Allah will save you. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all of the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. This is where the gospel will be preached. We're seeing it today. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. See, this is the link here. He's referring to that exact thing. Two things. He's referring to his coming, like Daniel. He's going to destroy the temple. And Daniel's second prophecy, that the promised Messiah ﷺ will come in 1845. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. It will be this kind of kafiyat. They'll be running around like, what do we do? Kahan jayam? Neither let him which is in the field return back for his clothes. Kapde lene bhi na ho, bhag jo yahan se. Jang ki ek surat bana rahe, dikha rahe. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not seen in the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. The destruction that we will see has never been seen before, and we will never see it again. He is drawing this picture. Imagine what Allah must have shown him. The destruction that we are seeing today, the misery, the sorrow, and how he is now trying to present and warn his people, his disciples. Then he says, and the days should be shortened, and there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Do our days, don't they feel shortened? Everything is timed, everything is going on, as if we have no time to do anything. पहले ज़माने में तो बहुत टाइम होता था, ये भी करना है, ये भी किताब पढ़ ली, वो भी हो गया. अब तो कुछ नहीं है, कोई टाइम नहीं है. He said, then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. He is in the secret chambers, do not believe it. For as lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. See? He says he's not in the desert, and he's not in the secret chambers, but he's coming from the east, a place you will never expect. And then, of course, he ends, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. May Allah Almighty help us to see these are the signs that we are seeing today. May Allah help the rest of the world to also see the coming of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Ameen. Please join me in silent prayer. Ameen. Allahumma ameen.